Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana, Inferno walkthrough. We are continuing on our foray into this mountain, and we're going to be coming upon the hideous compound eye captor, Gargantula, which is one of the strangest names I've probably read in a video, and it gets better. This game actually has two translations, because apparently the first one was really bad. They retranslated things, and it seems like they've changed a lot of names for almost everything. So you might have completely different named bosses than I do, and I don't really know why this is, because it's just kind of strange. But when I check other footage of the game, especially the Japanese version, everything sounds and is spelt slightly differently. So somebody came in and just like grammared up everything and just completely changed it on really tedious, tiny ways. But I thought that was a ridiculous name, so it's definitely going to be the header of the video. But before we get to it, we have to do some combat on this cliffside, and it's introducing the Tyrant Door, which is kind of this huge bird that is level 22, so it's a little bit stronger than we are. It drops pheasant eggs, remex, and razor feathers, so all of this is pretty good for synthesis and what have you, to make us a little bit better, so make sure you're making the most of it. And much like the birds in a previous video, I wait for that boss to do its moonsault into a forward rush, and then I do the flash guard, and then I proceed to kill it. But the spiders now are a little bit weaker than we are, so we can use them as an opportunity to just build our skills up, kill them quickly, and just get a little bit more comfortable with the force edge. Because the boss coming up, the force edge is going to be incredibly useful. And there's a nice little combo here that you can usually one-piece these enemies with. If you do a force edge into that projectile that I'm firing, you can generally two-piece them without them having an opportunity to do anything. But this move right here, the bird rushes down and does a big kick combo. It's quite dangerous, so you want to be careful of it, and sometimes the bird's depth perception is really shit, so it can be tough to get a block off. But the other move that's really good against those to use is when he fires feathers. He fires feathers in kind of like a three-pronged direction, and you can flash guard that and get the crits and kill it. But there's nothing too much on this area that you're going to have that many problems with. Just make sure that you save, because if you don't save here, guys, you go all the way back to the door that led you in, and you have to fight them all again. And it's really easy to take damage in this game, and when you do take damage, they take off 90%. It's no joke, guys. There's a reason that it said at the beginning, it is a cruel and merciless difficulty, because it is. But I'm going to be exploring as best as I can, and you should do the same. Not only is it going to get you extra cartography percentages that will get you cool stuff, but you'll stumble upon items that you might use later on. There aren't too many items in this run that I'm going to say that I think you should use, but there are certain setups that I use, and I cannot stress their effectiveness enough. But luckily, you don't have to do too much to get them. The only really specific thing you're going to really need to do is, for late game, you're going to have to unlock a castaway by the name of Franz and do his side mission, because he's going to enable you to cook a pumpkin meal, which has the highest damage boost in the game when it comes to the meals. And it can really speed up some of the boss fights, and I think one of the hardest parts about Nightmare and Inferno is just how much you have to hit the bosses while not getting hit, and if I can give you strategies to make you kill them quicker, it's obviously going to pay off. However, because this game has New Game Plus, I do question how many people actually do this on New Game, because judging by a lot of the forum posts that I've been checking out, it seems like people farm strength elixirs and health elixirs and defense elixirs until they have thousands of stats, and then they just do New Game Plus and take in incredibly powerful characters and then just romp the entire game, which I can understand why they do that. The game is pretty damn difficult until you adjust to it. But fingers crossed you're not doing that and you're going to experience the game as it's perhaps intended to be, as hard as it can be and as fun as it can be. But we've got some Angbeetles here that drop a couple of interesting things, so they're definitely worth killing. The drop rates in this game, while plentiful at times, can also be a little bit cruel. There are a couple of items you can wear that will make this a little bit better, so if you ever do any kind of farming run, you definitely want to put the item ups on, because they'll definitely help. But be careful of the bum juice as well. For some reason these spiders have the ability to share their dirty silk with us, and they do it a lot, especially at range. But the cool thing is, once you have the timing for the block, you can use it to give you free damage against other enemies. And that is a strategy you can use with the boss as well, because the boss coming up has enemies with him. Some of the worser bosses in this game are the ones that can summon mobs, because the mobs can attack you through the boss's geometry, and you can't see the enemies, and they will hit you when you can't see them, and it leads to really annoying things, because, for instance, the spiders poison you, and the boss itself can even paralyze you, I think. So you can get paralyzed, you can get poisoned, you can get all kinds of horrendous status effects, and the status effects in this game are really fierce. Some of them are just ridiculous, like the burn status. If you get burn on your character, you are dead. There's no, oh, there's a status effect, I'll quickly go into the menu and get rid of it. It's just dead. Like, it kills you so fast. And a lot of them are really, really, really fierce. Like the poison. In some RPGs, poison hurts you a lot, but it doesn't kill you. It'll take you down to the lowest threshold of HP, like a gravity spell, but then it won't finish you off. This game doesn't give a shit. It will kill you. If you get poisoned in this game and you do not heal, you are dead. It's just a matter of time. And the worst part is, your team can get poisoned. And if you swap to a member who's poisoned, of course a team member cannot die when the computer's controlling them. So they have 1 HP, are actively poisoned. The moment you swap to them, you kill them. Which is really fucking evil if you ask me. But it's just how the game works. So if you are going to do anything with the items in this game, I recommend the status effect items, because getting poisoned is a death sentence. The only good thing about poison is it gets you into red cape territory, so you can get more damage, but even then, it's dangerous. But here is Gargantula. You don't see his big fancy name because I don't have the cutscene in the guide when it introduces him or her. Technically it creates minions, right? Dudes can't create minions, can they? So it must be a she. I don't know why I'm assuming it's gender. I've probably offended it on several levels. But this is a boss that is tricky, but pretty cool. The first time I fought this guy, I was here a long time because I wasn't gelling with the game the way I needed to do New Game Inferno. So I ended up being here for a couple hours learning this boss. But the suffering that I had originally really paid off, and it made me a much better player, so I don't regret it as much as I was getting really pissed off. But the idea is quite simple. When you stand in front of this boss, it will do a 3-hit combo. It'll do a left hit, a right hit, followed by a big slam. When it jumps around, if it lands on you when it jumps, you can get a nice guard and wail on it. If you're at either side of the boss, it can slam its feet on you. And then the worst thing that the boss does, in my opinion, is the web spit. If it hits you with the web spit, it will make you move really slowly. Here's the laser too, Ghostbuster laser. Shout out to Dukes Dia Freya, who obviously invented spider lasers. Another reference to Dark Souls that I didn't want to make, but alas, here I am, becoming my own worst enemy. And then in the second phase, when it does the charge, because the charge is a lingering hitbox, you can repeatedly use that to get flash move and flash guard off it, and do a lot of damage. That move just then, when the boss inhales, all you need to do is spam dodge to the left or right of it, and it'll pull you close, but it won't hurt you. If it pulls you into its mouth, it's just mandatory damage, unless you guard it. But note that I used as much of the guard as I could just then, and then as soon as I realised his life was low, I used the EX skill to finish the spider off, and it falls really quickly. Having Force Edge for this fight is really important, because when you're attacking the boss passively, you're killing his minions. On my first run of this game, I didn't have that, and it made this fight much, much more frustrating. So, Force Edge the front of it, get those flash guards, combine flash guard and flash move, stack those flashes, and shit on its chest.